What if one desperate wish destroyed everyone's life? Imagine being in love with your best friend for years, and then one day she suddenly loves you back. Sounds perfect, right? Well, for Bear, it becomes the worst mistake of his life. This is Obsession, a horror movie made for only $750,000 by a 26-year-old YouTuber named Curry Barker. Somehow, this tiny indie film exploded into a worldwide phenomenon, earning over $148 million at the box office. And after watching it, you'll understand why. Because this isn't a love story. It's a nightmare disguised as one. Today, we're breaking down the entire movie, including the disturbing wish, the horrifying obsession, and the ending that leaves everyone shattered. Let's get into it. Our story follows Bear, a lonely guy in his 20s who's been secretly in love with his childhood best friend Nikki for basically his entire life. The problem? Nikki doesn't see him that way. To her, Bear is just a friend. And no matter how badly he wants to tell her how he feels, he never does. So he stays stuck, watching, waiting, hoping that maybe one day she'll magically fall in love with him. The movie opens inside a small diner where Bear is sitting across from a waitress, nervously trying to rehearse something. At first, it sounds like he's having a real conversation. But then we realize what's actually happening. Bear is practicing a confession. He's pretending the waitress is Nikki and trying to figure out how he's finally going to tell her how he feels. The problem is that it's painfully awkward. Every sentence sounds forced. Every attempt falls apart. And before long, his friend Ian starts pointing out just how badly it's going. It's almost painful to watch, but it tells us everything we need to know about Bear. He's been in love with Nikki for years, yet he's still too afraid to be honest with her. Instead of taking a chance, he keeps replaying the same fantasy over and over in his head. A fantasy where Nikki finally falls in love with him. Later that day, Bear heads home. But waiting for him is something heartbreaking. His cat has died. Already feeling lonely and emotionally exhausted, the loss hits him hard. The one companion that was always there for him is suddenly gone. For someone already struggling with loneliness, the loss hits hard. His apartment feels emptier than ever. And for the rest of the day, Bear can't shake the feeling that his life is going nowhere. Later that night, Bear is at home trying to get through another miserable day. He's still grieving the loss of his cat, and his thoughts keep drifting back to Nikki. Then his phone rings. It's Nikki. She asks if he can come over. At first, Bear says no. He's tired, emotionally drained, and doesn't feel like leaving the house. As they're talking on the phone, Nikki suddenly panics. Her necklace slips from her hands and falls into a storm drain. She watches helplessly as it disappears. The necklace is important to her, and she's clearly upset about losing it. Even over the phone, Bear can hear the frustration in her voice. Despite saying no at first, he can't ignore it. It's Nikki, and whenever she needs him, he always shows up. So Bear changes his mind and decides to go help her. Looking for a way to replace the necklace, he heads into town. During his search, he comes across a strange occult shop filled with unusual items and odd little trinkets. Most of the merchandise looks like novelty junk, but one item immediately catches his attention. A small box called the One Wish Willow. The instructions are simple. Snap the branch inside, make a wish, and that wish will come true. It's obviously supposed to be a joke. At least that's what Bear thinks. Still, something about it sticks in his mind, so he buys it and leaves. That night, he meets up with Nikki and some friends. Everything seems normal. Nikki laughs with him, talks with him, enjoys spending time together, but nothing more. To Nikki, Bear is still just a friend, and that's exactly what hurts the most. After the night ends, Bear drives Nikki home. After dropping Nikki off at home, Bear remembers a weird little souvenir he bought from an occult shop earlier that day. It's called the One Wish Willow. Basically, it's sold as a joke gift. Snap the branch inside, make a wish, and supposedly your wish comes true. Of course, nobody actually believes it works. But Bear is desperate. So standing there alone, heartbroken and frustrated, he snaps the branch and makes a wish. A simple wish. A selfish wish. A wish that changes everything. He wishes that Nikki would love him more than anyone else in the entire world. And the moment those words leave his mouth, his life is over. At first, nothing happens. Bear drops Nikki off at her house and watches her walk toward the front door. For a moment, he feels ridiculous. Maybe the One Wish Willow really was just a stupid joke. Maybe wishes aren't real. Maybe he just made the biggest fool of himself. Then something strange happens. Nikki suddenly stops. She turns around and starts walking back toward him. At first, Bear is confused. But when she reaches him, Nikki asks a question she normally never would. She asks if she can come over to his place. Right now, Bear is shocked. This is exactly what he wished for, and it's happening almost instantly. The two head back to Bear's house, but something already feels different. Something feels off. Nikki won't stop looking at him. Every word he says seems to completely captivate her. Every movement has her full attention. It's flattering at first, even exciting. After all, Bear has spent years dreaming about this moment. The girl he's loved his entire life finally seems interested in him. But as the night goes on, that excitement slowly turns into discomfort. Because Nikki isn't acting like someone who has a crush. She's acting like someone who's becoming obsessed. And over the next few days, things only get worse. She constantly wants to be around him. She calls him non-stop, texts him non-stop, shows up unexpectedly. And whenever Bear tries to focus on anything other than her, Nikki becomes visibly upset. Meanwhile, Bear's friends Ian and Sarah immediately notice something is wrong. They tell him Nikki isn't acting like herself, that something about her behavior feels unnatural. But Bear doesn't want to hear it, because deep down, this is exactly what he always wanted. At least, he thinks it is. Bear is at work trying to act like everything is normal, but he's still unsettled by how Nikki has been acting. Then comes lunchtime. He opens his lunchbox and starts eating, trying to distract himself and feel normal for a moment. For a few seconds, it actually works. It's just food, just a regular day. Or at least, it should be. But then Sarah notices something strange. Inside the lunchbox, there's a small note, something Nikki left behind. At first, it seems harmless. But as Sarah looks at it more closely, something about it feels off. The message is unclear, but it mentions something connected to Bear's cat. That's when everything in Bear's mind suddenly stops. His expression changes instantly. He starts replaying everything in his head. The timing, Nikki's behavior, the way she's been acting lately. And a terrifying thought hits him all at once. What if the meat he just ate wasn't normal? What if it's his cat, his dead cat? Sandy. The realization hits him so hard that he can't even finish processing it. He panics. His body rejects it immediately. And right there, in the middle of work, Bear starts violently vomiting. Everything comes rushing out. Shock, disgust, fear. And in that moment, it finally clicks for him. Something is seriously wrong with Nikki. This isn't just love. This isn't just obsession. This is something far darker. By now, Bear's life has completely fallen apart. Every possible solution has failed. The curse can't be reversed. The obsession keeps getting stronger. And Nikki is becoming more dangerous by the hour. What started as a dream has turned into a nightmare that's about to claim more victims. At first, Nikki only wanted Bear's attention. Now, she wants him all to herself, and anyone who gets in the way becomes a problem. A problem she intends to remove permanently. One day, Nikki spots Bear spending time with Sarah. To any normal person, it's harmless, just two friends talking. But Nikki isn't thinking like a normal person anymore. The moment she sees them together, something inside her snaps, and Sarah pays the price. Before Bear can do anything, Nikki brutally kills her. Just like that, one of his closest friends is gone. Bear is horrified, but the nightmare isn't over, not even close, because Ian is next. Ian has been trying to help Bear from the beginning. He's one of the only people who actually believes what's happening. But that doesn't matter. As far as Nikki is concerned, Ian is standing between her and Bear. And that's enough. Soon after, Ian is killed too. Now Bear has lost everyone. Sarah is dead. Ian is dead. The people who cared about him most are gone. All because of one selfish wish. And for the first time, Bear finally accepts the truth. There is no fixing this. No miracle. No last-minute rescue. Only consequences. Completely broken, Bear locks himself inside a bathroom. Outside, chaos continues. Inside, he's alone with his thoughts. And the realization hits him like a truck. The operator was right. As long as he's alive, the curse will continue. More people will die. more lives will be destroyed, and Nikki will never be free. So Bear makes a decision, the hardest decision of his life. He takes a handful of his grandmother's pills and swallows them. If his death is the only way to stop the nightmare, then maybe it's time to end it. For a moment, he sits there in silence, waiting, accepting what's about to happen. But then reality kicks in, fear takes over, and suddenly, he doesn't want to die anymore. He desperately tries to make himself throw up the pills. He fights, he panics. He does everything he can to undo what he's done. But it's already too late. The pills are in his system, and the countdown has begun. Meanwhile, in the next room, Nikki finds something that could change everything. Another one-wish willow. And what she wishes for next leads directly to the movie's devastating ending. As Bear struggles in the bathroom, the pills slowly begin taking effect. His body is getting weaker. His time is running out. And for the first time since this nightmare began, there's nothing left he can do. Outside the bathroom, Nikki discovers another one-wish willow. A chance. One final wish. Without hesitation, she snaps the branch, and she wishes for something she's wanted this entire time. She wishes that Bear would love her the same way she loves him. The same obsession, the same devotion, the same overwhelming need to be together. And unbelievably, the wish works. Almost instantly, something changes. Bear stops fighting, stops panicking, stops trying to save himself. He slowly walks out of the bathroom and into the living room. There, he sees Nikki, and for a moment, nothing else matters. Not the bodies, not the blood, not the destruction around them, just each other. The two sit together, staring into one another's eyes with the same unnatural devotion. It's exactly what Bear wished for at the beginning of the movie. The perfect relationship, the perfect love, the perfect fantasy. But here's the cruel twist. The moment Bear finally gets everything he ever wanted, he's already dying. The pills are still in his system. The damage is already done, and no wish can change that. As Nikki holds him close, Bear suddenly collapses. His body gives out. And within moments, he's dead. Just like that. The obsession, the curse, the nightmare. It's over. Because Bear's death breaks the original wish. The spell finally disappears, and Nikki becomes herself again. No obsession, no possession, no curse, just Nikki, confused, terrified, and completely devastated. As reality comes crashing back, she looks around the room and finally sees what she's done. Her friends are dead, lives have been destroyed, families have been shattered, and even though she wasn't fully in control, those memories will stay with her forever. The person she cared about most is gone, and now she's forced to live with the consequences. Alone. The movie ends not with a jump scare, not with a monster, but with something far worse. Regret. Because in the end, nobody wins. Bear loses his life. Nikki loses the person she loved, and everyone around them pays the price for one selfish wish, a wish that should have never been made. And that's the story of Obsession. A horror movie that proves sometimes getting exactly what you want can be the worst thing that ever happens to you. What makes this film so effective isn't the violence or the supernatural curse. It's the idea behind it. Who hasn't wished someone would love them back? Who hasn't wanted a second chance? But Obsession takes that fantasy and twists it into something terrifying, turning love into control, affection into possession, and a dream into a nightmare. So, what did you think of the ending? Was Bear responsible for everything that happened? Or was he just another victim of the curse? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed this recap, don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more movie breakdowns every week. This is Beka Recaps, and I'll see you in the next one.